before when we study how to graph any function, like for this one, y equal x squared. Remember how we used to be graphing? If you don't remember, it's a basic function for the x cubed, or x squared, x cubed, it doesn't matter. So if you don't remember the basic function, you have to know the domain. The domain for x squared from negative infinity to positive infinity. So I can choose any negative numbers, any positive number, plug in the numbers, find the value of y. You're gonna get a set of points. Graph the points, you're gonna get the graph of y equal x squared. The same thing, y equal x cubed minus 1. Remember that? We just used to be making a small table, x, y. Like for this, I can choose, I know the domain negative infinity to positive infinity. So I can choose -4, -3, 0, 3, and 4. I choose these numbers, I plug in these numbers here to get the value of y, and then plug in, plot the points. You're gonna get the graph of x cubed minus 1. Or you can use the basic functions or the parent function. Remember that? We have a graph for x cubed. I'm going to graph it, and I already gave you the points. You're gonna graph it, and then it should be shifted down 1 unit. You're gonna get the graph of the new function. We learn these methods. Now, the difference, y equal 2 to the power x. That's different. That's called, it's the same technique. Don't worry about that. Y equal 2 to the power x. It's the same technique. You have to choose a value for x, plug in to find the value of y. But this function is called exponential function because the variable is an exponent. This is called quadratic, this or linear, or you got it? Because it's not exponents. The variable is not an exponent. Here with this function, the variable is what? An exponent. So that's different than this one. As a technique, the same technique. Choose the value of x, plug in to get the value of y. And then you're going to graph it. This one is called base. Write it down. Number 2 is called base. In general, sometimes they write as a small letter A or B, like this one. So B is called the base, and they're telling you here, let B is a constant real number such that B greater than 0, always positive number, and B is not B equal 1. So this is an important condition. The base is a positive number when we graph it, okay? X is what? Exponent. Base and exponent. And our exponent is a variable, okay? So now, if we see, let's see this example. How are we going to graph it? You already have the table and you have the graphing part. What do you think? How are we going to graph it? We have the table, X, and we need to find the Y. The same thing. I'm going to choose number for X. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me check which number I choose so we can do the same numbers. From 0, 1, 2, 3, and I choose negatives. -1, -2, -3. So I choose 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3.
Do we check?
No, I was trying to check so I could get the same number because I have the result here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I have the value of x. I need to find the value of y. I'm going to plug in 0 where? Here. So let's plug in the number here and find the result here. So if I plug in 0 here, the value of y is going to be 3 to the power 0, which is equal. That's important. What's 3 to the power 0? Do you know how to plug in the calculator?
0.
No. Any number, write down this note, write down the top. Any number any number with exponent 0 equal 1. Then I give you extra points if you prove that to me. How is any number to the exponent 0? It's a simple math. Don't overthink it. How any number to the exponent 0 is going to be equal 1. But it's a note. Every time when I see a number with exponent 0, I'm going to put 1. Okay? If you prove that, I'm going to give you extra points. It's simple math. Okay? If you prove that, I'm going to give you extra points. So the result is what? The result is 1. Now, next part, we're going to plug in 1. Y equal 3 to the power 1 equal what?
3.
That's it. So here is the second number. Plug in 2. 3 to the power 2, which is equal 9. So here is the next number. Y equal 3 to the power 3 equal 27. So here is the next number. So you see, I have the same way, but different way when you plug in the number. What about if we have negative number? Y equal 3 to negative 1. How much is going to be?
Negative 3.
No. 3 to the negative 1. Here. 3 to negative 1.
Turn the exponent positive.
Perfect, but how?
Uh,
Here is the rule. Remember when we have a number with negative exponents?
put it over 1.
1 over the number with positive exponents. Right?
Okay.
So the same thing here. 3 to the negative 1, it's kind of 1 over 3 to the positive 1. Can I write down 1 over 3? On Alex, you can plug in the fraction. When they ask you to plot, you can choose the fraction and plug in these points. So on Alex, it's easier. You're gonna plug in 0, 1, 1, 3 as a point, and then select the graph, you're gonna get the graph. Okay, so don't worry about that. So you can plug the function. The problem is with calculator. When you plug in a 3 to negative 1, sometimes they're gonna give you a decimal number. And you can't plot a decimal number on Alex. You have to convert it to fraction. You know how to do that?
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do that, to convert from decimal to fraction, I can show you.
I could do it. It's the second button from the button.
Yes, it says, yeah, F to D or D to F. So always convert it to fraction when you graph, okay? It's maybe more accurate. What about negative 2? For this one, we got 1 over 3. What about y equal to y to the power negative 2 is going to be what?
2 over 3.
Which is the same thing here. 3 to negative 2, that's me. 1 over 3 squared, which is equal 1 over 9. And the same thing with negative 3, y equal 3 to negative 3, which is mean equal 1 over 27. There's 1 over 9, 1 over 27. Is that okay? Yes or no? Now we need to graph these points. Now for the positive, it's easy. Let's check here, 3 until 27. So 0, 1. That means 0 could be here, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. Here's 1 and here's a 3. 2, 9. 2 with the 9. 3 with the 27. So 3 with last one, 27. So you can tell the graph from this side going up. Is that okay? Now the other part is the important. How are we gonna plot 1 over 3?
Go by the decimals.
When you convert it to the decimals, it's going to be easier when you graph here by using the pencil, not using Alex. Okay, with Alex, it's preferred to keep it as a fraction. So 1/3 is 0.3333 and keep going. So kind of 0.3, kind of where? Which number? -1. Kind of here. It should be less than. Kind of here. And then 1/9 is less than, keep going down. With 2 is going to be here, and then it's going to be here. So kind of the graph is going to be like this. But be careful, never going to cross the x-intercept, the x coordinate. So the graph like this. Is that okay? So the graph is f of x equal f of x equal 2 to the negative x. Choose the same 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. And by the way, you don't have to choose that many numbers. 3 is going to be enough. But when you choose 3 points, I think it's going to be enough when you graph it on Alex. Try to choose 0, 3, -3. To show that both sides, to show the positive side and to show the negative side, how it looks like the graph. Okay? It's kind of easier. So now, plug in the 0. Let's do it here on the same thing on the side. So when x equals 0, plug in 0 here. 2 to the 0. Don't say 2 to the -0, because there is no -0. So 2 to 0 equal what? 1, always. Any number with exponent 0 is going to be 1. Plug in 1. 2 to the -1 is going to be what?
1/2.
1/2. Plug in 2. 2 to the -2 is going to be 4. So here is going to be 1/2. Here is going to be 1/4. Plug in 3. 2 to the -3 equal 1/. Now -1. 2 to the -1. Positive, so it's going to be 2. You see, it's different. It's going to be the opposite side. 2 to the -2 to the -2 is going to be 4. And 2 to the -3 is going to be 8. So 2, 4, 8. You see, which part is easier to graph than to graph this part? -1 is going to be 2. And -2 is going to be 4. -3 is going to be 8. So you can tell the graph is going down like this. When it's reached the 0, how much is going to be? Here's the 1. So the graph down. And then on the other side, 1 is going to be half. So on the 1 is going to be half. Then keep going down. Half, 1, 4. Never going to cross the x coordinate. Okay. So we're going to choose for the third example the same numbers. We said 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. And they're going to plug in 0 here, which is mean y is going to be equal 1 minus 2, 0 plus 1. It's going to be 1, which is mean 1 minus 2. Is that the first number you got? Plug in 1. Y is going to be 1 minus 2, 1 minus 1. This part is 0, so it's going to be 1. So with 1 is going to be 1. Maybe
+1.
say again?
Exponents is
It's a
exponent.
plus. Why it puts
I don't know how I got -3.
so
You got -3.
it's going to be 4, it's going to be -3. Here is going to be -3.
Simple mistakes.
Yes. Y equal 1 minus 2. Now how much we have to plug in 2? So it will be 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. Which is mean 1 minus 8 is -7. Is that okay? Plug in the 3. So y is going to be 1 minus 2 to 3 plus 1, 4. 2 to the power of 4, 16. So 1 minus 16, -15. Now plug in the 1. So y equal 1 minus 2, plug in -1. So -1 plus 1, 0. So it's going to be only 1. How much you got with the next one?
-1's actually 0.
That's 0.
1 minus 1.
Yeah,
I mean,
1 minus 1 is going to be 0. And here you got how much?
-2 is 1/2.
1 over 2, and here 1 over
-3 is 3/4.
0.75. 0.75. So now, 3/4, I'm gonna graph it. The 0 is going to be -1. So here is the 0, -1 here in the middle. With 1 is going to be -3. Here is 1, here is -3. And with 2 is going to be -7. Here is 2, -7 here. So kind of you can tell the graph is going like this. But let's see the other side. With -1 is going to be 0. That means this graph is going to cross the x-coordinate. With -2 is going to be half. -2, half, which is here, because here is 2, so 1, and here's the half. 3/4, which is 0.75. So it's going to be here. That's 1. So the graph going like this. Keep going down. Here's our graph. So with this graph, there is x-intercept because it's across the x-coordinate. Got it? Now let's go to the next part. How are you going to evaluate? They ask you find the exponential. We're going to study this more. Exponential function, which is if you they already telling you. Let's go to. So if you look here, what is it telling you? Evaluate the exponential function with base e. Now the base is e. That's how much the value of e. Approximate 2.718281828. That's how much the value of e. But we're not gonna use, I'm never use this one, e. We always try to find another way to simplify the function e. It's a base exponential e. So now e to the power 2. This is also exponents. This is the base. So this one is similar when you said 2 to the x. This is the base, and this is the variable, right? Kind of you're saying e to the power x. This is the base, which is this number. So instead of writing down the whole number, and this one is keep going. It's a really large number. Keep going here. not large number as an amount of decimals, okay? Because it's 2, it's not that much large. But keep going here. That's why they put this sign. This sign is not equal. And you see sometimes this sign of this, it's mean approximate, kind of about this number, okay? That's why always you see E. That's mean the same number. So how are we gonna evaluate? They ask you evaluate kind of using the calculator now, but then we're gonna learn another way to find it. Do you know how to plug in the calculator? Based on the calculator you use it. This one.
Base 2, no, the second.
Yeah, I know how to do that. But the second, you already have here. It's easier now, they make it easier. E to the, you will see this.
Okay, the one that has a pi looking sign.
You have E with the circle, with the square. Got it? So you're gonna just plug in the number here, and you're gonna get all these numbers. You know how to use a fraction, square. Pi. You have the pi, right? But there's another way we're gonna learn that how to find it without the calculator, because we have to study the natural log to evaluate the E. Okay? There's another way we're gonna learn that. So now it's easier to grab this one. You just have to pick the same numbers and plug in using E. So plug in the 0, it's going to be E to the power 1. Plug in the 1, it's going to be E to the power 2, and keep going to find the y value, and then you're going to graph it. So I don't think so. This is going to be hard. But the next part of this section, that's the important part. Okay. Exponential function to compute compound interest. So first of all, if we have, suppose that P dollars is a principal, is invested. So keep in your mind, P is invested. So every time when they're telling you in the question, I'm going to go to the bank, or John going to the bank to invest 5,000. So this is the value of P. So P, write down this information. P is the invested, is the deposit. So if I deposit 5,000 in the bank, that's mean P equal 5,000, okay? So P is the amount of invested or deposit, okay? At annual interest, R, annual interest rate. So R is the interest rate. So now you're gonna write down on the side because you're gonna keep using this one. P is the invested or deposit. 2, R is the interest rate. Annual interest rate. Annual, it's mean for the whole year. Annually, okay? For the whole year, they're gonna charge you interest 5%. 6%. And keep in your mind, they're gonna tell you R equal 5%. When you plug in, do not plug in 5. It's going to be wrong. 5%. That means it's equal 5 divided by 100, which is equal 0.05. Is that okay? When they tell you 5%, 20%, 6%, with this sign as a percentage, you have to divide it by 100. So this is how much they're going to charge you. Now, if you check your bank account, if you deposit 10,000, how much the interest? You will see the interest 0.01 or 0.0001. They give you a little bit interest. You got it? Because they have to be careful. You're not gonna see in the bank they give you interest at 20%. Oh, that's impossible. Okay. So always divide by 100, so it's going to be 0.05%. Is that okay? Now what else? Because this is important. We're gonna keep building on this part. Then I equal. I is what? Amount of simple interest. So every time when you see, find the amount of simple interest. I is the simple interest equal P R T. This is the formula. I'm going to use this formula. Now, we forgot T is what?
Years.
T is the years. So let's add down here 4 T equal time. Years, 2 years, 5 years, 600 years, it doesn't matter. Every time they're going to tell you, put it T as the time. Is that okay? So as a simple interest, I equal P is the deposit, R is the interest, T is the time. We're going to do an example about that. The second formula, amount A in dollar is the account after T years. So what's that mean? Now I have the second formula, you see? I have different formula. P is the deposit, right? We're gonna explain that one by one. P is the deposit, the same one. 1 is one number, it's a formula. Plus R is what? Interest. What about N? What about M? You can change this M is N times T. I don't know why they put it M. Let's see. They didn't tell you. This is, should be N. NT. This is NT. It's not M. It's N times T. Okay? So be careful. This one is not M. It's N times T. So the formula is, let's write down here. A equal P. Look at the P. P 1 plus R over N Tn or NT, okay? N times T. So that's the formula. So now P is the deposit, R is the interest. What about N? N is the compound. Okay, and they're gonna tell you when they're telling you not simple interest, I'm not going to use this formula. I'm going to use this formula. But this formula is a compound. N is the compound. Compound, write down these. Compound annually. That's mean how much the value of N. If I ask you, I'm gonna give you interest annually, what's that mean? I'm gonna give you interest only one time in the whole year. I'm gonna give you interest only one time the whole year. So the value of N is going to be equal 1. I'm gonna give you only one time in the whole year. So when they're telling you compound annually, N equal 1. If I give you compound quarterly, that means I'm gonna give you interest only 4 times. So quarterly, the value of N is going to be 4. If I'm going to give you interest semi, so how many is going to be? Semi-annually. That means 2 times. Semi-annually, that means N is going to be equal 2. If I going to tell you I'm going to give you interest monthly, compound monthly, that means how many times I'm going to give you every year? 12 times. So N is going to be 12. What about if I'm going to give you interest continuously? That means every month or every year I'm going to give you interest. It depends about how much. It's going to be different formula. So when they ask you continuous compound, which formula I'm going to use? This formula. Is that okay? Any type of compound, you're going to use this formula. If they're telling you compound continuously, that's mean I'm going to use this formula. Is that okay so far? Now we know N is the compound, T is the time, P is the deposit, R is the rate. What about A? A, how much is going to be in your account after T time with this interest? That means if I invest 5,000 in the bank, that means P equal 5,000, okay? For 3 years, that means time is 3 years. With the rate 1%, that means the R is 1%, which is 1 divided by 100. Is that okay? Compound quarterly, that means they're gonna give me interest every year, 4 times every year, okay? For 3 years, how much is going to be in my account after 10 years? That means I need to find the future value. So A is the future value in your account. Is that okay? Kind of like, you know, everything. Because if you know these, this one is going to be a piece of cake. Okay? Okay, let's see this example. Suppose that 15,000 what? Suppose that 15,000 invested. So we know that the value of P is going to be what? 15,000. With how much interest? 2.5. So I know the rate equal, which is this one is never going to happen. There's no invested with the bank with this amount, but we have to know the math. 2.5%, which is equal what? 2.5 divided by 100, which is equal what? 0.025. 0.25. That's it. 0.025. 0.025. Okay. 0.025. See the interest rate they're gonna give you on the bank? Anyway. Now, what else they telling you? Suppose this one invested with the rate, so we have the rate under the following compound option, because we have 3 options. Determine the amount in your account. That's mean we need to find what? The amount in my account, which is the future value, after how many years? After 7 years. So the time is 7. So for A is compound annually. That's mean how much the value of N? Equal 1. I'm just going to write down the formula. A equal P 1 plus R over N T times N. You see, everything here exists. Everything on this side exists. It's a number. We just have to plug in to find A. So A is going to be 15,000. 1 plus the interest 0.025 divided by N is 1. The time is 7 times 1. Tell me how much is going to be the result.
Where'd you get the N from?
Annually. This is number A.
Okay.
I'm telling you, A is compound annually. That means the value of N is going to be equal 1. That's really important. Okay? How much is going to be the result? 17,000. 28 or 29. Did you round it?
Just round the first.
Or it's with cents. You have to round it. Okay? So 17 0.830.29. So check, is that worth it? How much you gonna get? So if you invest at the bank 15,000, okay, with this amount of rate, in 7 years, your money is going to be 17,000. 17,830. 7 years, and that's how much, because the interest is 8.25. You get the idea how the banks work? You're gonna like that, I'm telling you. Because every time you're gonna open a bank, they're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna give you interest 0.003. No, I don't want to open an account. And when they charge you interest, it's going to be 0.3. They charge you a lot.
Yeah, they do.
They do the opposite thing.
Way more than they do.
So now, B, what are they telling you, B? Compound quarterly. You see, on the test or exam, every time I write down all the information. So I don't have to go back and read the question again. I write down the information on the side and I check what I need. I need to find the future value. It's going to be easier to figure out the solution. Now with B, they ask you compound quarterly. That means the value of n is 4. You just have to change the whole setup here, 4 and 4. The rest is going to be the same. So A is going to be also 15,000. 1 plus the interest 0.025 divide by 4. The time is 7 and n is 4. Plug in how much it's going to be. And you will see there is slightly a little bit different. Because now they're going to give you interest 4 times every year, not 1 time. For 7 years. How much you got?
30,858 week.
Tell me.
17,858 with 96 cents.
58 and
96 cents.
96 cents. You see the difference?
Better deal.
And check how much the difference between this one and this one. Few dollars.
$28.
Yes. Few dollars here. See?
Oh, yeah, it's not that big of a.
So if they say, oh, no, we're gonna give you a bullet deal. We're gonna give you interest 4 times every year. That means they're gonna give you $28. So like, come on, I don't wanna get your interest. Now, next one. Next one is they're telling you what? Compound continuously. That's different.
Every month, every week, every hour.
No, the other formula. When they're telling you compound continuously, you're going to use the formula A equal what? P-E-R-T. You see, there is no N. So the future value A is going to be equal, P is 15,000. Exponential function, the rate is 0.025 times what? The time is 7.
How do we put in E?
The same way. That's what we learned how to plug in E before. Let me show you.
Because I pressed it and then it has a little exponent.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna do. You don't have to put the parentheses.
Okay.
So here's 15. When you press on the E, that's mean 15 times E to the power. With the power you have
Oh, okay, that's right.
0.025 times 7.
Okay.
Hit. So how much?
17,868.
Wait.
70 cents.
17,008 what?
68.
68.70. 0.7, like 70 cents. Are you going to accept the deal? We're gonna tell you, oh, we're gonna change, we're gonna give you interest every. By the way, if they're telling you compound daily,
Even better.
compound daily, that means they're gonna give you interest every day, which is never going to be happen. But compound daily, that's mean how much the value of n?
365.
365. So write it down this compound daily, that's mean the value of n is going to be 365.